Where does the four-wheel underground suspension shine more? Creeping, crawling on the Rubicon, or going crazy fast out on Johnson Valley desert floor?
Yeah, good question. It honestly does great in both scenarios. Whether I'm going through the Rubicon or doing 50 to 60 miles an hour through washes at Johnson Valley, it's really impressive what the suspension does. I think that goes a lot to show how well it's engineered, how well the roll center is controlled, and how well the geometry all goes together. No matter what I'm doing, I feel stable. I feel predictable. It's fantastic.
That makes a lot of sense because they are designed to be great on and off road.
That's true. I do drive the rig to and from the trails as well. And I noticed on tight, windy mountain roads, I don't feel like I'm throwing the body off the chassis anymore. I just have one question.
What's that?
When are we putting some four-wheel underground parts underneath Samantha?
Soon, very soon. And I'm excited to do so. And if you are looking to move your vehicle from leaf springs to a linked suspension kit, make sure to check out fourwheelunderground.com.
Hey, Jimmy, do you use any mapping software when you go off-roading?
Yeah, I use Onyx Offroad.
Oh, nice. I do too. Have you been seeing the updates they've been sending out recently?
Yeah, the maps are changing. They're getting rid of that green spaghetti and they're changing it up to something a little bit more colorful.
Yeah, as much as I love the neon spaghetti that was on there, they're actually making a really cool update that's going to make all the trails colored based on difficulty ratings, which makes it easier to explore the trails around you.
Yeah, I know how much you loved the neon green, but I think this is a good feature for them. Because now not only can you find a trail near you, but you can actually get an idea of its difficulty.
It is. It's a really nice change. That's one of the reasons why I like Onyx Offroad and I've been enjoying using them is they're always looking for ways to make the app better. They're always rolling out updates, which all of them just makes things easier for when you're going out and exploring the trails around you.
So if you want to go out and explore and find trails near you, make sure to download the app Onyx Offroad. Welcome one, welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, maybe poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course hearing about how freaking fantastic it is to off-road in the snow on tracks with your Toyota, then this is the podcast for you. What up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well and staying dry after this little rainy weekend we had here in California. And, of course, staying out of trouble. I know trouble is fun, but make sure to stay out of trouble as well. So welcome, everybody, to episode 494 of the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. My name is Jimmy Jett, and I'm going to be your host today. Tyler was not here during this recording, so this recording happened on his birthday. We did talk about that a little bit on last Thursday's episode, that he let me steal his rig and the tracks to go out snow wheeling on his birthday. And I was lucky enough to go out snow wheeling with Scott, the owner of RubiTracks. So that's what we got in store for you guys today. I'm sure you read it in the title, but we are going to be talking to Scott. We're going to learn about his past, his history, how he became this business owner of a off-road track company, what the tracks started as, and where they're going in the future. It's going to be a fantastic episode for you guys. But before we get to that episode, I do have a very small bit of housekeeping that I'm going to take care of. And then I'm going to talk about the Sully Bun benefit just for a quick second. I think Tyler might be doing Thursday's episode because I'm going to be off in Cruise Moab. So I told him, hey, man, you need to step up to the plate and get to work on this one. And he said, okay. I was shocked. I was concerned that I would have to figure out something or record something on the road. Who knows? Anyways, I'm sure Tyler is going to cover some of that as well because he did make a guest appearance out at the event. But before we get to that, I do want to do our little housekeeping. Gift boxes have gone out. I was able to get them all out, shipped out before I left for Cruise Moab. So I know people have already started receiving them. I did get people telling me about them at the benefit that I went to, and those are all the local people. So I know that they're going to take a few more days to get across the country, or we got somebody up in Canada that's going to be getting one as well. So hold up, don't post photos yet. Wait for a few more days, and then you can blow up the internet and tell everybody how fantastic these gift boxes are. Speaking of gift boxes, though, you have roughly 15 more days to get into the gift box tier. If you do want to get a gift from Tyler and I in November, then you need to sign up this month. And then after this month ends, we close the tier and you cannot join the gift box tier. So if you want to get a gift box, you need to get in there this month, April, to get a gift from Tyler and I for Jim's month out there in November. I already have an idea of one of the items that's going to be in the gift box, and I'm super stoked. I think we might be able to turn it into a themed box. I'm not sure how we're going to work it out, but I'm excited to get that box out there and get it into your guys' hands come November. And if you want to get one, get in, go over to iRate 4x4, go down to the watch list and discuss section, go down to Snail Trail 4x4 podcast, and then all the sign up options are on that page. If you're on mobile, they're going to be down at the bottom. If you're on a PC, they're on the right side. And sign up for that $20 tier for the gift boxes. That said, we are always accepting reviews on Apple, iTunes, podcast, whatever they call it. You go over there, you leave a review. Once we get to 750 reviews, we are giving away a set of Yokohama tires. That is right. And almost any set that you want, you can grab as long as they are DOT approved and smaller than a 20-inch rim. You can get a set of tires. And all you need to do is leave a review. And if you are the lucky winner, a random drawing that we're going to do, then you will win the set of tires from Yokohama. Coming up here, though, we are going to be, I'm sure we're already at 650 reviews, but we're going to have to wait for another week or so before we get to that. We do a drawing every 50 as we're going up to 750. So we'll do 650 here soon. We'll do 700 when we reach that. And when we get to 750 reviews, we give away that set of Yokohama tires. Snail mails have happened and started back up again. I'm not sure what's going to happen this week, if we're going to have one or not, with me being gone and out of town. Maybe Tyler and Ryan might do one. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Maybe Ozzy's going to jump in. Who knows? But if you want to call in and you want to leave us a snail mail message, you can do that over at 916-345-4744. That is 916-345-4744. Don't stop driving. Don't text or anything. That number is down in the show notes, so you can grab it at any time. Last little update before I jump into talking about the Suli Bun benefit is that we are still accepting license plates. We have been getting a bunch of license plates coming in, which is so much fun. I'm really hoping that when I get back from Cruise Moab, then I'm going to be able to spend some time in the studio and get those up on the wall and set everything up so that we can shoot a video for episode 500. So I want to say big thank you to everybody that's been sending in license plates, and also a massive thanks for those of you that are thinking about doing it, but just haven't sent them in yet. So make sure to send those license plates in to the Moreflate warehouse, label it Snail Trail 4x4 podcast or whatever. That address is in the show notes, so you can grab it at any time. And yeah, send us a license plate from your state or your country or whatever. If you've got a free one laying around, we would love to have it. You can sign it. You can put your name on the front, the back, whatever. We are going to throw them up on the wall, have a whole wall behind us of all kinds of license plates from different states, different colors, different countries, different, whatever notable features that the license plate is providing you. Then we're going to have those all on display behind us. Once we shoot those videos and once we get everything rolling, we will have those. But yeah, I know that Kevin Poole handed me some license plates at the Suli Bun benefit, and there were some special license plates. So we'll talk about those on an upcoming episode. So that'll be a lot of fun. Our 5-year anniversary is coming up, and who knows what we're going to do for that, because that's also the same time that the 500th episode's coming out. And I don't know what we're going to be doing. It's early May, and we've been so busy doing everything else that we haven't had a lot of time to think or talk about what we're going to do. But we are going to do something eventually. We're probably going to, I'm going to shoot a video for 500th episode. And I don't know what event we're going to have, but we are also going to start doing a small gift for the 5-year Snail Squad members. I think we have an idea of what we're going to do. Now it's just a matter of circling the horses and getting everything aligned to try and get that to happen and see if it's all within our budget. So get ready for that. I'm super excited for 5 years. I can't believe it's been that long. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, even though I've been doing all these editing in the last, 2 years. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to get there. I'm excited to share it with you guys, but we're going to have a good time and we're going to continue on, or who knows how long we'll continue on. All right. Let me say a few things about the Sioux benefit, which was a rainy day and a massive, massive turnout from our community. The off-road community came out and supported Sue and her family, like an unbelievable amount of people showing up. I was shocked. And I can only imagine how many more people would have been there if it wasn't raining. So I was asked to be the host, DJ, sort of, or an announcer during the auction. So that was kind of fun. But before I did that, I got there a little early. I helped set up. I set up a canopy. I walked around. I told everybody, like, hey, if you want to check out the raffle or go buy raffle tickets or enter the car show to go up to the Morflate enclosed trailer, that's where everything was. So that was actually really cool because instead of announcing it over a loudspeaker, I kind of just walked around. But then I got to talk to everybody and have, meet them. And a lot of people got to meet me, which was pretty cool. I know that I walked up to a few groups and they're like, hey, aren't you the Snail Trail guy? And I was like, yeah, I am. Oh, thanks. You paid for my entrance because when I drove in, I bought 20 entrance tickets. And my thought was, well, if I pay for people to come in and they don't have to worry about it, then maybe they'll spend more money on raffle tickets. So hopefully that worked out. But it was kind of funny to walk around and have random people go, hey, Snail Trail, thanks for buying my entrance ticket. And I was like, yeah, no problem. That was fun. But yeah, it was good. I mean, man, I walked down to this, like the Asian group, off-road group. I don't know what they called themselves, but they had a party going on in the far corner. They had all kinds of food cooking. They had all these canopies up and tarps over, and it was completely dry in their camp. And they were rocking out and having a fantastic time. Walked around. I saw Dimitri from Stellar Build. I saw Morgan from Sidetracked Off-Road. I saw Hot Metal Fab was out there. I can't even begin to, I'm going to mess or lose track of how many people are actually out there and who I saw and who I didn't. So I probably shouldn't mention too many names, but Sue and Chai were out there, which I was super shocked to see Sue out there. I sort of didn't expect her to be there because I just didn't think it was going to be the healthiest choice for her. And I know she's going through chemo and it really affects, your immune system. And I was slightly concerned that, she was going to be in trouble, but she was just happy and all full of joy and just shocked about how many people were out there. And, it just really went to show about how many people they affect, how many lives they've affected, and how big this off-road community is for coming together for somebody that just came down with cancer, and they really want to help out our community, and the community came out and helped them. So it was really, really cool. It was a lot of fun. It got cold. It was wet, but everybody was in high spirits. Everybody was hanging out. Everybody was talking. There was a bunch of little fire pits going on. There was a bunch of people cooking food. Just a whole bunch of conversation going on. A lot of people huddled up under canopies, just staying out of the rain, and then people wandering from canopy to canopy. But it was a blast. I ended up, like I said, I ended up announcing the raffle, and I pretty much told everybody, I was like, pay attention. I'm gonna go quick because I know we're all cold and wet, and we want to get this thing kind of over with, and so let's roll. And so I called numbers and then moved on to the next item, said what the item was and called more numbers and went back and forth kind of as fast as I could, trying to be, conscientious of if people could hear me and if, they had enough time to register their numbers before I moved on to the next one. But I think it went all right. I had cracked some jokes in there and I heard some laughing. And so it was a good time. Afterwards, everybody pretty much bounced. As soon as that raffle was over, everybody left. I think they did do picks on best off-road rig, best mall crawler, best everyday driver rig. I'm not sure who won any of them, but I know that most people left, and even the people that got picked didn't get their prizes or anything. So just that sort of was a bust just because of the weather. I didn't remember seeing this Metal Cloak CTI trailer. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be out there, but I think during the rain, because of the rain, they didn't bring it out. So that was kind of a bummer. But I didn't bring Bobcat out because I was planning on it, but it was still in pieces, still trying to get that winch installed. I've been running into snag after snag trying to get that winch on. It's like Bobcat does not want a winch. It's so funny. But I finally got it on. The last little hurdle was literally the winch where the bolt holes for the winch were to mount the winch to the bumper caused the winch to be so close to the face of the bumper that I couldn't install the fair lead. So I had to modify the bumper to accept the fair lead. And more or less, I drilled out big holes and then got some nuts to fit the bolts for the fair lead and then welded the nuts inside of the bumper. And then I was able to mount the fair lead and wired everything up, and everything works. It's really nice. So now I've just got to do a little small things, get my blinkers working right. I might try to get my reverse lights working correctly. I forgot if I got those installed or not, or if I hooked it up to the 4-wheel drive one last year. I messed it up, whatever I did. I don't remember if I fixed it or not. So I'm going to check those out. And then I'm just going to check fluids and then throw Bobcat up on the trailer because I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Cruise Moab bright and early. So I've got a few small things to button up and then just do some basic packing, and I'm going to be ready to roll. That is, if Clifford gets back in time, because I did drop Clifford off to get the steering done and there was a crack on Clifford's frame that's going to get repaired right where the crossbar is, right at the power steering box. So there's a few like really weird things sort of happening on Clifford. So I didn't have time to work on Bobcat and work on Clifford and get everything done for Moab. So I just gave it to the company. I said, you guys do that. I'm going to focus on my rig and let's get it up and running. But Clifford was supposed to be done on Friday and they didn't call me. So I'm going to call first thing in the morning on Monday, and hopefully they go, oh yeah, we just got to button this thing up really quick and I'll be ready to roll. So that's the game plan. Well, with those updates, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys, I saw so many faces out at the Sully Bun benefit. I hope you guys that were out there had a blast, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of you also down at the Marlin Crawler Celebration of Life on June 1st down at the Clovis Rodeo Fairgrounds. So that is going to be another blast. So make sure that put that on your calendars, mark that down. I know they have been posting stuff out on social media with like dates and locations and stuff. So mark those things down, save that date, June 1st, Marlin Crawler Celebration of Life, and I'll hope to see you guys there. And hopefully it won't be raining this time. All right. Well, with that, my friends, let's jump over to today's interview with Scott from RubiTracks, and we will hear all about his story on how these fantastic off-road tracks came about. So go out, grab your favorite drinks. Scott was definitely a whiskey drinker, but those Canadians, for some reason, loved the Kraken. So if you're a Kraken fan, go get some of that. They were doing Kraken and Diet Coke or Pepsi. So that's always a fun drink. So go grab one of those and celebrate with all those Canadians. And we'll be right back after this quick message from Brian.
The 4-Wheel Underground website just got an upgrade. Come on by and check out the new functionality, new photos, and new pricing. Finally works on mobile too. Visit 4wheelunderground.com and find your new suspension today.
Welcome back, ladies, gentle ladies, and all those kiddos out there. I hope everybody is doing well and enjoying the snow that just came down. I've got a fun little interview here for you guys today. I've got Scott from RubiTracks. How you doing, Scott?
Great.
I'm doing good. I'm super excited to be out here and surrounded by all these Canadians. It's not something I can normally say. We've got what, 4 of you? 4 of you today, and we've got currently 3 Americans, so we're definitely outnumbered. Yeah, then we can actually go arms to arms. All right, bring it on. We did have a drag race a little earlier, and I missed second gear. They didn't know I was in a standard, and I think I don't know if I tied or lost. We'll leave it up to the cameras. But hey, I wanted to jump in. Let's talk about RubiTracks. Let's talk about fun things that we've got going up here. But I want to jump backwards first. I want to know a little bit more about you. Like, tell me about where you grew up. Did you get into off-roading, or how did this fall in your lap? How did things come about?
Well, I guess I got into off-roading by accident. So I worked in the oil fields for close to 20 years. And I was a truck driver.
Okay.
A great deal of my time was spent sitting in the truck, waiting to load or waiting to unload. So one of my pastimes was reading like Peterson's 4-Wheel Drive or JP Magazine or whatever. Like I had a stack of them in the truck with me that would just read over and over and over again. Right. Well, where I lived in northern Alberta, the town they said it was 2,000 people, but it was like 1,300 people. We're just a little oil field town in the middle of some crown land. And it was probably 70 miles as a crow flies in any direction. That was just wide open bush area. Right.
Sure. Okay.
So it kind of evolved, in a small town like that, there wasn't a whole lot to do besides drink and watch TV. So I developed an interest, I guess, in off-roading. I always had somewhat of an interest, but more of a spectator version of it. Right.
Right.
And then an opportunity came up to buy a Jeep. I bought myself a Jeep TJ. And then I started actually exploring some of that crown land and discovered that I enjoyed it. And it kind of snowballed from there. Right. So part of that process that brought us to where we're at here is like in the wintertime, like everybody, you park your Jeep and you wait till the snow is gone. Right. And then I discovered, tracks and I considered myself fairly handy and I want to try my hand at building a set. So I built myself a set and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That does make sense. I think we have 6 rigs out here today that are all on RubiTracks out, and which is pretty fantastic. So what did you do to your TJ back in the day? Was it fairly stock, or did you build it up, or what was it like?
Yeah, it was a bone stock 4-liter Jeep TJ Sport 1997. And I intended to leave it stock. I just wanted something clean and fun to drive. And then I pulled into Canadian Tire one day and there was a red Jeep there just like it with a 3-inch lip and 33-inch tires. So I had to have a 4-inch lift and 33-inch tires. And that was the first thing that happened. And then, of course, when you have a lift and tires, you need a winch. Right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if you're going to put a winch on, you need to put bumpers on. So I built bumpers for it. And it just,
Snowballed
from there.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
I understand that. So you were up in Alberta area, but now you're in the Maritime.
Yes.
So what happened there? How'd that transition
So
happen?
I grew up in the Maritimes.
Oh.
I left the Maritimes when I was, I guess 19 is when I made the permanent move to Alberta. When I was young in the Maritimes, I'm not going to say we grew up in poverty, but we didn't have much. And if you wanted to have anything, you had to go somewhere and get it because it didn't exist around us.
Right.
You
had to make it, right?
Or you had to make it. But I mean,
yeah.
There was no opportunity. Like the people who had the opportunity in the Maritimes held on to it and they didn't let you get a piece of it. Whereas Alberta was the land of milk and honey in Canada, and anybody, I didn't have a university education. There was no chance of me getting one. If I wanted to have a chance of success, I had to go there and carve it out for myself. So
got it.
So, yeah.
And so for us Americans, what is the Maritime of Canada?
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's a certain general area of Canada that makes up a few provinces, right? Or is what it? So now I'm looking like the stupid American.
No, I'm not understanding the question on it.
So you guys say Maritime. He lives in the Maritime.
Gotcha.
But the Maritime's not, it's an area.
Yeah,
made up by some provinces.
Exactly. Okay. The Maritime provinces would be New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. Yeah. And I can't tell you why they call it the Maritimes, but maritime, water, surrounded by water. Yeah. I assume that's the.
Yeah. So there's, I've told you off air, but I've been to the Bay of Fundy, which has the largest tidal swing in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's insane to watch the tide move 12 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And when the tide comes in, there's a literal wave of the water moving up. You can like visibly see the height of the water change.
Yeah.
It's unreal. And I heard stories of people that would, on high tide, they'd sail their boat in and then put some like wood underneath it. And then the tide would go out and then they could clean their hull and paint it and get it ready. And then tide would come in and they can sail off again.
A lot of them as well. Like that's a daily thing, right? So they'd have to time the tide for when they're bringing their boat in and putting it away. Cause they'd just let the tide go out and the boat would go down and sit on the bottom until the tide came back in and floated the boat. So you'd see fishing boats listed over on their side, just laying in the mud. Yeah. Waiting for the water to come back.
That's funny. Yeah. It's like, oh, and you know, here in California, our tidal swing's like 2-3 feet.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to think of. So I have been up in that area. It's absolutely gorgeous. When I was younger, we did a trip from over to Maine and then we drove up into that section of Canada. It's gorgeous up there, especially during the fall. Yeah. It's absolutely wonderful. So interesting. So you went from there, you went to Alberta. Mm-hmm. Did you develop the tracks in Alberta?
I did. Yeah. Okay. So I started out there as, the start of my business was as a truck driver. I bought a 10-wheeler and started hauling water and oil to the local oil field. And it was a fantastic job. Like that is what financed what I have today, but I wasn't happy doing it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I rented myself a little shop and bought some tools and I needed a place to pick around when there was nothing to do. And,
so what did you do in the shop when you were, was this downtime during winter? Like, cause usually I say when winter comes for me, I consider that maintenance season. Right. And it's like, I'm a rock crawler. I go out rock crawling. Winter comes, I move my rig into the shop and I fix it, upgrade it, change the fluids, do whatever. Is that similar to what happened up there?
No, not necessarily. So as an oil field service, we're kind of like a tow truck service. If you want to compare it to something, whereas we're on call, right? Somebody needs a load of water. We got to go haul it. So it was nothing for me to have nothing to do until 2 p.m. and go work for 2 hours and have nothing to do for the rest of the day.
Got it.
But I had to remain available for the entire 24-hour period until my days off came. Right.
Okay. So you're kind of like an Uber Eats or something like that where because you were the only one that had a 4-wheel drive vehicle that could take it out to them? Or
no, that was just the nature of the service. So like the oil companies, they would run 12 hours a day. Well, the oil companies were 24, but the service rigs were 12 hours a day and you'd never know. And they sometimes would never know when they needed a load of water or a load of oil. A lot of it was planned, but a lot of it was just the well's gone down. We got to fix the well, get out here now. And we got paid very well to be available.
Right.
To do that.
At any moment. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So to get back to what you were asking earlier, I guess. So what I needed was something to do just to keep my mind.
Pass the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's when I got the little shop and my tools and I started dicking around and I started, it's a broad story. Like at first it was just play.
Yeah.
And then I had a real run of good luck one summer and I made a lot of money. I'm not going to say how much money I made, but it was enough that I was willing to shut the truck down for a while. And I buggered off to Australia for 4 months and drove a truck down there, just a working holiday.
Nice.
And I discovered while I was down there that they were modifying shipping containers. That was a big thing in Western Australia. So when I got back, I had some of the tools. I decided to build myself a workshop out of shipping containers. Cool. And then, that spurred off into like a sideline for my business. It was something that I could work on when the truck wasn't working. And it wasn't long before it got a little bit overwhelming. So then I built a shop in order to do this. I hired some employees, but the part I hadn't accounted for was that with the size of a shipping container, when I put a shipping container in my shop, it took up the entire floor.
Oh yeah.
And then I could only have 2 guys working on it at any one time because if I hired a third guy, he was watching the other 2 guys work, right?
There wasn't enough room to get around.
Wasn't enough room to get around.
Sure.
So what we did was I wanted to develop bench work and, and that's what allowed me to invest in the first set of tracks, right? Was this opportunity to build a product in the corner that wouldn't require any more investment in infrastructure or tooling and whatnot. So that's where the very first set of, at that time they were called Polar Tracks. That's where the first set of Polar Tracks came from. And
so this is just a thing you knew or saw, or did you just sort of come up with this idea of tracked so they're independent tracks for each corner of the vehicle. It's not like one track that works on front and back on right side, like a tank.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so we've got tracks on all four corners. Has it been done before, or is this a new thing? How did you come out with this?
There's been several companies that have developed wheel replacement tracks. The most notable one would be MatTracks. They pretty much have the market cornered on it. People like to say that they invented it. They didn't. They're the ones that took it to market most successfully.
Okay.
There was many companies previous to them, and I mean, I don't know if I could name that many. One of the most significant that would be in terms of a snow track would be called RubiTrack. They're not made anymore, but they were a massive track, like a go anywhere track, bigger than what we have here now.
Okay. Yeah. Would those be like on the ones for like cats that they drive up on the snow ranches? No,
these were still for vehicles. So take your wheels off and put these on.
Yeah.
I don't know the history of RubiTrack, but so like we would see them on different things. MatTracks was probably the most influential, but there's other companies doing it. But where I got most of my inspiration, there was a thread on Pirate 4x4, just kind of a home builders group kind of sharing ideas. It started out, it's been so long since I've gone back to see who started it, but it started out as one guy's build thread that everybody hijacked with their own projects, right? And it turned into this massive, almost like the Bible of tracks, right? Okay. And a lot of them were based around snowmobile parts, similar to what we do. So, you know, I did a lot of research there and had a lot of conversations with people and seen what they were doing, and kind of developed my own idea of what I thought would work. And that's where we came up with Polar Tracks.
Got it. So what was the evolution from Polar Tracks to RubiTracks?
So the evolution from Polar Tracks to RubiTracks, well, that's another complicated story. I started Polar Tracks. It was around 08.
Okay.
I would say. I'd have to go back again, but
that's close enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so a lot happened around then. Like you guys would have seen the housing bubble burst, and not that the housing bubble was a big problem for me, but it had its effect on the oil economy as well. And then some personal things happened in my life as well. And I made the decision at that point to liquidate my assets in Alberta and move home to my roots. So I spent a little bit of time back in Prince Edward Island, just doing odd jobs. And actually I started a little mobile tire business. I bought myself a 5-ton U-Haul truck and outfitted it to do like truck tires and car tires and whatnot. I did that for a couple of years, but I discovered that I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
So
it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Working on the side of a road, helping somebody out. And
it
there's
wasn't
a danger level there.
It wasn't so bad. Like what I did was I would go to your home and put your snow tires on, kind of thing. Like it wasn't really an emergency service.
Fix a flat.
Fix a flat. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But it was sort of the same thing that I was so tired of in the oil industry, was that
you were on a call.
I was on call, and it worked out. I was getting 20 hours a week, but I had to be available for 80, and I couldn't go do anything else. Right.
Yeah.
So I decided again, I needed something else to do. And then we started and we built the first set of RubiTracks, the prototype. And
do you remember who those went to?
They're home in pieces. I don't know if I even have any pieces left.
Oh yeah.
So we did. Okay. We used them for testing, and then they kind of got taken apart, and we've been robbing parts off them ever since.
That makes sense. So what I find really cool about the RubiTracks is that, and you alluded to it earlier, is that you use a lot of sort of off the shelf snowmobile parts to make up your track system. So if there is a problem, then you can just sort of source it locally or less, or is cheaper because they're mass produced in a way. It's not all custom made.
Right.
So besides that fact, is there anything else that really sets the RubiTracks apart?
Well, I guess like RubiTracks, there's really only three companies that I'm aware of: us, American Track Truck, and NordTrack up in Quebec, that build a snowmobile based system.
Okay.
And so let's lump them all together, the snowmobile based system. What sets that apart from other types of track? Well, What's unique about the snowmobile based system is just what you said. The parts in general are easily sourceable. So what encouraged me to get into this type of product, let's say, was the availability of the components that I could compile together to build a system without a huge upfront investment in molds and R&D. Like Camso already did the R&D on the track, and PPD already did the R&D on the wheel. We know all that stuff works, so why reinvent it, right?
Absolutely.
So all those components work together, and people, like, I'll admit, we weren't the first ones to build a snowmobile-based track system. I'm not afraid to say that. I do believe that we build a fantastic product, and I believe a lot of the reason that we do that is because of the efforts of everyone who attempted it, whether it be the companies that are doing it now or the people who are doing it in their garage. But what sets it apart, I guess, is what it allows us to build a system affordably. Not only that's affordably for us, but it's affordably for you, the consumer. Whereas like other brands of track, they have significant upfront investment because all their parts are proprietary, and they have to get that investment back. Right. So the parts are expensive, and then they don't want you to buy, if you can buy the parts off the shelf somewhere else, then it makes it harder for them to get their investment back. So it almost makes sense for them. They call it, it's not planned obsolescence. I'm not sure exactly what they call that, but parts revenue stream.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So
I understand. So the fact that they rather have you come back to them to get the parts because they can charge you again, and they can then offset their costs for the equipment that they needed to buy or dies they needed to create to create the parts.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's this ever going circle of trying to get somebody to come back in a way to continue to rebuild, where your side of things is, I create a great product. It works phenomenally. If there is an issue, you can go down to your local store and you can buy a replacement part. Or you can come to me and you can buy a replacement part, but you don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I always wanted my customer to be able to source the part, because I know what it's like to have something break and have to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks for that part to come in. Like, you make this huge, relatively huge upfront investment to have what you hope is a relatively trouble-free product. But every once in a while things go bad, it's not inevitable that something will break. Right. So making our system with parts that are easily sourceable, it takes the sour taste out of your mouth when things go bad. Yeah.
Less worry, because like you were saying, you can go to the store and you can buy this off the shelf immediately if you wanted. Hell, you might even be able to get it off Amazon. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you can order that stuff online. And, and another thing that we've done just this year is we've started sending every set of tracks out with a spare parts kit, because everybody's going to break a bogey wheel or two. And a lot of guys haven't yet figured out where to find that bogey wheel. So after they break the first bogey wheel, and their piles,
they already have one.
They put it on. Now they know they don't have any spare parts, but they know what situation caused that wheel to break. Now they can start looking around for where to find it locally, or they can call us up and we'll send them some parts. But at the end of the day, like, they break so infrequently. We're so fortunate that, like, I admit to everybody that it's not that I was a brilliant engineer. I was in many ways lucky that the product has had so little, such a low failure rate that parts haven't been, parts revenue stream hasn't been something that I've been seeking. Sure. I actually, like, the parts that break, like, if you break a bogey wheel, it's like $20. And if you want me to send you that bogey wheel, I lose 2 hours. I got to shut the shop down. I got to pack that in a box. I got to take it to the post office. I got to get back to the shop. It's not worth my time. I obviously I'll do it because that's my customer service, but it's better for the customer and it's better for me.
Yeah. So bogey wheels are like the little black wheels.
Absolutely.
The ones that are on what would be the lower end of the track on a snowmobile or the RubiTracks.
Yeah.
And then what's the large wheel that goes over, that you pretty much bolt onto the hub of the vehicle?
Right. That we call that the sprocket.
The sprocket.
Drive sprocket. Some people call it a hamster wheel, but yeah, it's a drive sprocket.
Is that the same sprocket that a snowmobile uses?
No, that's we build that completely in-house.
That's proprietary.
Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense. So pretty much everything below the sprocket minus the frame is all snowmobile parts.
So the system has, to name the snowmobile parts, the belt, the track itself is a snowmobile part. The bogey wheel is a snowmobile part, and the slide. I'll have to take you outside and show you what the slide is later. After that, we manufacture everything. So the actual axles, the idler axles, the adjusters, the frame, the hub, the spindle, the adapter, the sprocket,
Right.
the rails, everything else is made in-house. So we're taking these parts that we can't make ourselves. We can't make a rubber track in-house.
Right.
We can't make a bogey wheel, but we can buy them.
Sure.
And then we make everything else to use, to adopt to those components.
Cool. Well, we're sitting here in Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
Is this your first time to California?
This is not my first time to California. I rode a Harley Davidson from Las Vegas to Los Angeles.
Okay.
About 10 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So that would have been,
that's on a bucket list item for me.
Yeah.
But it was for me going to Vegas.
Going to Vegas. Yeah.
But yeah, just riding that stretch to Vegas.
Yeah. No, I flew into Vegas and I rented a bike and rode it. I rode it right out there, right to the Hollywood sign. Yeah. I stayed for 5 minutes and then I buggered off down to Palm Springs and then rode back up through the desert, back up to Las Vegas. It was
sounds fantastic.
Pretty wild trip. Yeah.
What'd you rent? What kind of bike was it?
I think it was called, it was a Harley Davidson. I'm trying to think of what model it was. It wasn't a bagger, but they had like leather saddlebags on. I can't tell you exactly what it was.
I wouldn't know, but Harley's good enough for me.
Harley, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want a cruiser, just something to chill, that just loud noise, just cruise and just have some fun. So, but anyways, we're here in California, your second trip, it sounds like maybe, Northern California, first time though. Yes. What do you think of it?
I think it's beautiful. I honestly, to be truthful with you, I mean, the Rubicon Trail is not far from here and and RubiTracks technically got their name from the Rubicon Trail with the Jeep Rubicon being in the middle, right? I knew the Rubicon got a little bit of snow. I had no idea that you guys got what we, my mind has been blown over the last few days up here. I had no idea what I was getting in.
Yeah. Well, did you see the picture that Nick and Dimitri posted of them on top of the bridge?
Oh, yes.
With the tracks and all. Yeah. So that should give you an idea of how much snow that comes out here. Yeah. It's definitely, there's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. And the snow right now is fantastic. It's super sticky. It's still a little powdery and a little dry, but it's just holding together real well. Yeah. And this is my first time ever driving with tracks, ever being around tracks. And it's shocking what you can do. Yes. They are so much fun. I've a little snow wheeling experience with my truck and my tires. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we went off the groomed track, cause I was like, I could do this. My truck could do this. Everything we're doing so far, I'm like totally can do. Yeah. As soon as we turned off and went down into fresh powder, I would have bogged down, just down to the axle. Yeah. And this thing I took it a little harder line. I took a little off camber, dropped down, went out into that little meadow. Yeah. And I had the biggest freaking grin on my face.
And that's the thing. Everybody does. It's just so fantastic. That's what makes it rewarding. I love to see the smiles.
Yeah, absolutely. I am shocked about how well these things work. And it makes sense, right? There's a bigger footprint. There's the pounds per square inch on the snow is drastically less than what a tire is. Yes. But the grip that the snowmobile tire can do, I was you were in my rig at the time and we were following Nick up that ledge and it was just leave it in a low gear and let it do its thing. And it just sort of crawls its way up. It's fantastic. What's next? You want to hint towards anything, or is there anything big coming? Or
I mean, there's always something next, right? So I honestly don't know. Okay, I honestly don't know. Next has always been decided by the consumer. I've always been more of an opportunist than an innovator. Yeah, and the phone rings and I go with it. This whole California thing, I didn't know existed. Right, Nick Avalanche Technical is probably the most influential person in that respect.
No,
absolutely.
Don't say that.
No, it's true.
He's over there raising his hands now.
No, but that's true. It's interesting when I think about it, I get so many phone calls from people who have a better way of doing things that it gets tiring trying to explain to them that I can't just build tracks for everybody the way they think it should be. And Nick was one of those guys. He had some ideas when he called me up. Yeah. And I didn't necessarily see them immediately, but the way he was able to communicate them to me, it made me want to try. Right. So we built him a kind of a special system for his Toyota, and he's been killing it ever since. Right. And everybody in California with tracks now essentially have them because of Nick.
him.
Yeah.
Well, if his head wasn't large, it is bigger. It's definitely larger now. But yeah, they're fantastic. So earlier you were saying that this is sort of a new market too. Like you didn't originally design the tracks for off-roading snow, like off-road purpose. There was a few other markets that you had targeted. How did that come about?
So the very first market was not a market at all. So I thought, like when I worked in the oil field, all these roughnecks were driving big jacked up trucks. And I thought, okay, I'm going to build these tracks and these roughnecks are going to buy them from me. Oh, there's a
Subaru or a Suburban on tracks just pulled up.
So I thought I was going to sell them to all these oil field guys, and I never got one phone call, but it was all from ice fishing guys in Manitoba and Saskatchewan.
Okay.
So like, okay, well, I guess we're building tracks for ice fishing.
Oh.
And so I did that for a few years, and we still do outfit a lot of people for ice fishing. But then like, again, back to Nick kind of took snow wheeling to a new level and helped us promote that aspect of it. And where I was, like on the East Coast, there's no ice fishing unless it's in a little creek that's only 3 feet wide, and that doesn't count.
Right.
So, so like, I mean, for me, the only thing I could do with them out on the East Coast was snow wheel also. Right. So that was interesting to me as well. So yeah, I'd say our two main focuses right now would be ice fishing and snow wheeling. And now I guess when you say what's next, we've got our RubiTracks HD that we've been working on for heavier trucks. Now it's not a snow wheeling system, and it's more of a commercial rated system that we're going to try and push along.
So what size vehicle are we talking here?
They're intended for 3/4 and 1 ton applications. Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. For light commercial, like we'd like to see guys using them for like plowing their driveway and stuff like that.
Understood. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they're a fantastic product. We've had an absolute blast out here today. I'm sold. And I need a set for my rig after driving Tyler's 4Runner around on this crazy suspension that he has. It's a lot of fun out there. So where can people go to get tracks?
From in Canada and just about anywhere, you can contact us online, rubitracks.com. You can find us on Instagram at RubiTracks, same on YouTube and on Facebook. That's the portal.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thanks for coming all this way to sit down with me.
Hey, no problem.
And teach us a little bit more. Thanks for sitting shotgun with me too, by the way. That was a lot of fun. I got to pick your brain about a lot of different avenues about how I should hit what, or how should I be attacking a product or the obstacle, or what gear should I be in? Yeah. So it was definitely a faster learning curve. So I do appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Well, no problem. Happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I have one final thing. We do this on all episodes.
Sure.
It's a random spur of the moment thing.
Okay.
Do you have any final words?
Oh, my final words? Absolutely. I mean, I'm so grateful to everybody for, coming out here today. I never thought that I'd be manufacturing a product that'd be appreciated by so many people, let alone be in a situation where they'd all want me to come and hang out with them. Right. Like I've flown, I'd have to look at a map, but I'm sure I've flown like 3,500 miles to get here.
Yeah.
It's a long trip. It took a couple days to accomplish. And, I'm thankful to everyone and for their support.
Yeah. Well, we're happy you're here.
Well, thank you.
With that, my friends, keep crawling.
Thanks.
Did you hear about the teenager who failed his driving test? He thought it was a crash course.